Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Writing Visual Studio Extensions with Matt. That's me. And with us, as always, we got the talented Mr. James. Hello, James. How are you doing?
Oh, you were really thinking. You had to think about words for that one. You're like, what is James? Well, he's a person.
Well, it might have appeared that way, but in fact, it was because that all of a sudden I could hear my own voice coming out of the computer here because I had another browser window open with the YouTube stream running. So I could hear myself at a delay. It was very strange.
I've done that many a times. Don't you worry. Yeah, we did. We did have a little kind of .NET Live TV update. We gave a lot of pro tips along the way. So I'm glad to see. I got my chat open. I got also look at all these people. Everyone's in here. I'm going through all this. I saw you went in, highlighted some things. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I did.
I like that. So many people. So there's a lot of people. I love it. And yeah, how you been doing? You have a great week. Holidays are coming.
I know. Yeah, it's right around the corner. My week has been great. Thank you for asking. And I've been looking forward to this episode all week. I was just telling James, everybody, that this is my favorite time of the whole week is when I get to do this, and I think it's because I get to write extensions, and I'm getting paid for it too.
I thought it was that you got to hang out with me.
Well, no, that's true as well, and everybody else. But I think it's a combination of all of the above. I don't know. I just really look forward to this every Monday. I'm thinking like, I wish it was Friday so I could do this show again. I'm not even joking. It's true. So, James, are you ready for the second episode in this mini series?
I literally could not be more excited. When we got to the end of last week's stream and everyone started calling you and you had to go and we're like trying to finish it, trying to do stuff, and we got it working. We're so close. And then there was tons of great feature requests. And I was like, I want this thing in my life. And I was like, you got to do a part 2. And you did it.
Yeah,
I feel
like we ended on a cliffhanger.
Okay. Yeah, I think so. I think we did end on a cliff. Then that's what it was, right? A little cliffhanger.
Yeah.
So.
Also, maybe I should mention that this is the second last episode of the year.
Oh my goodness.
We'll have one more. So Matt Lacey, who's here, I saw his name. He's in the chat somewhere. Hello, Matt. He wrote a great blog post that I think you guys should check out. Matt, can you post a link to it? I think people will really enjoy it. Matt did something amazing, and he basically created a holiday extension, like a Christmas themed extension, which I thought that was fantastic. So I'm thinking we should do something similar but different for the last episode, which will not be next Friday because next Friday is the Thanksgiving sort of thing. It's the one right after. So that brings us into December 4th. And so I think it makes sense. Okay. So let's see here. Where did we end last time? Here's what we got. We got a GitHub repository here. So go to github.com/Kristensen/solution TimeLog, and then you can follow along in the source code. We don't really have a lot of stuff here, except for a link to the first episode we did with this. Okay, so that's all you get. Oh, and do we get a yeah? So if we follow this link, I did set up the full CI/CD pipeline here, so we do get the actual extension to play around with. We can just download it right here. So that's cool. But it's not really done yet because just to bring everybody up to speed, what is it that we're doing here? We're writing an extension that logs the amount of time we spend working in the solutions, the various different solutions that we open up in Visual Studio. And so we're basically talking about storing, like at every second, or every minute rather, we store information about how much time we've spent on this particular solution into a file on disk. And that's kind of where we got to last week. We got to log and save all the information, but we didn't get to the point where we were going to read the data and display it to the user. And there's a million different ways we can choose to display this information. there were some ideas about like, oh, we could, inject it into the status bar, a counter of some sort, and we can totally do that. Though not recommended, but we may get to it. We'll see. But I think first and foremost, what we need to do first is just to kind of see if we can pump the data through, like read the data and pump it through if the user requests it. There's a question here from Steffi. So there will be a season 2 next year. What do you think, James? Should we do?
Of course. How can there not be a season 2? There has to be. It's the ever-going saga of making the world's best Visual Studio extensions of all time with Mads.
Yeah. I don't think we need that rename of a show. It's going to be too long of a title.
That may be a little bit too long. Just a few extra characters. We may, in fact, if you put that in a file name and on Windows, it may be a little bit too long.
Yeah, right. So there you have it, folks. We're going to be back next year. No, it's just because, it's with COVID and all that sort of stuff. I think people are going to take a early holiday break this year. I don't know if I am, but I might. So I'm thinking, let's just play it safe. All right. So here is the project. So we have our package file, our package class, and it's in here that we kind of hook everything up, that we start listening to when solutions are being opened and closed, and when Visual Studio itself is getting focused or unfocused. Like if you when you're working in Visual Studio, it's focused, but you're working in a browser or Outlook or whatever, it is unfocused. And we don't want to track the time when you're not focused in Visual Studio. So we do that in here, and then we set up a timer that basically ticks every minute or so. Let's see up here. Yeah, 1 minute, 60 seconds, 1 minute. That's the interval. And then what it does is that it calls our TimeLog, which is a class in here, and just say, hey, update. And what it does, it reads the file, the time out of the file, and then it saves, and then it adds, 60 seconds, and then it saves that back into the file. Super basic stuff. Not really a lot to it. It's simple file IO here. And as I said last time, do you want to use file IO? Yeah, but you really want to use a web server somewhere. I think is the best solution, because then it doesn't matter if your file is, if what computer you open the solution on, or if you get a new machine, or you want to uninstall, start your machine fresh, repave it and reinstall Windows and everything on it, or if you have different versions of the same solution, right? You might have different branches that you open in different Visual Studio instances and so on. So just do that in a single web endpoint would be best. But for now, we're doing it in a file, which is the second best-ish, I think. Okay. So we have our package class, which is kind of our starting point for an extension. And then we have our TimeLog class. It's just a class. There's nothing special about it. And then we actually have a command. So let's just take a look at that real quick. We did add a command last time, but we didn't use it for anything. And so, or maybe I had it already added. I forget. But here's our button. That's a command. So we need to put that somewhere. I think by default, it goes up here under Tools. And why is that? It's because, let's take a look at this button here. This button has a parent. And the parent is called My Menu Group. And that is defined up here. My menu group.
Can you make those fonts a little bit bigger for me there, man?
Oh dear, yes, absolutely.
If we just had an extension that said Stream Mode.
There is one.
Oh, I know the Presenter Mode one.
Yeah, that's the one. It's called Tweaks.
Tweaks.
Yeah, I just feel like that's different. I feel like Presentation Mode is a little different than here. It's more like I'm working like I would normally.
Yes.
It doesn't feel like I'm presenting some rehearsed demo,
Yes. Yeah, like live mode. And then it blinks a little red icon. So people know, if people walk by you, they're like, oh, Mads is live right now because it's blinking red.
So a live streaming Visual Studio. Whoa. Yeah.
On next season of writing extensions of Mads. Did you actually get this? Does this extension work? Does it actually do anything?
Yeah.
Did we get it working?
I can't believe you're
questioning. questioning Mads.
Let's stop it. Let's change the. Let's do, instead of every 60 second, let's do every 2 seconds. Because, why not? You only live once.
Yeah, because I remember on the very end of the last stream, like, I'm pretty sure we got it working, but then I don't remember if we got it working.
Okay. So here's how it works. So we open any solution. At this point, the extension actually hasn't loaded yet because Visual Studio has not gotten to the point where it's ready to load extensions. Now it's thinking about it. You can see that file that I have open right here is actually that text file that I store the data in. So now it runs. It's actually this particular file, and you can see it's ticking up now every 2 seconds. So it saves a text file, txt file, with the same name as the solution, and it puts it in a folder under the user profile. So under the dollar user profile dollar, and then whack.vs, and it puts it right here.
That does work. Interesting. Look at you go. How does Visual Studio know? How does it know to refresh that file? Just does it automatically?
Yeah, and see what happened. Now Visual Studio is not focused. I'm not working in Visual Studio right now, so it doesn't tick anymore. And I come back to it, and it'll start ticking again. Oh. We did that.
So virtual high five.
Nice. Okay. So it should go in its own folder. That's kind of sloppy that I didn't put a folder in here called solution or TimeLog or something. Well, anywho, so that's where we got to. Okay, I can open a file and see it move, but it's not really that interesting. So we did have our command. We're gonna. Okay, so here's where I got to before. So we have our command. That's called a button, and its parent is our my menu group up here, which has a parent, which is the main menu that's up here, the top main menu up here. The one called tools. Sorry, no. When I say main menu, that's not what I mean. This parent menu, this name right here, is a built-in name containing a lot of the built-in groups and menus that we can parent our buttons to, okay, and groups to. And this one is under menu and tools, which is this particular menu right here, the tools menu. So that means it gets shoved in somewhere here at priority 600, hex 600, that is. So that is somewhere right here. The higher number it is, the further down the list it goes. It's all relative to the other ones. So we'll see where we're going to end, but we're going to call it something clever. We're going to call it C TimeLog. Right? Like that. I don't know. And we have a timer. So what is that icon? That's this icon. Yeah, that's the same as we have as the logo or the icon of the extension itself. So that's fine. Okay. So now we just need to do something when people click this thing. So for that, we go to our command. And I'm just going to do this cleanup thing that I like to do in here because I think that's the right thing to do. So let's see here. The package class initializes my command. So it calls the initialize async method. So let's just F12, go to definition. And that's what we got right here. So I'm going to paste this in right here. Like that. What is this complaining about? Oh, well, we don't really care about that right now because we're going to make this prettier. So it's just that there is a prettier, sort of a generic way of doing this that I prefer. So we go in here. I'm going to delete everything above it. There we go. So now it's complaining, well, what is the command set? Well, let's look in our package GUIDs and see if we got a command set. Oh, we do. That's right there. So that actually points to, so TimeLog command set. That is our TimeLog command set. That's one of our elements in our VSCT file, our Visual Studio Command Table file. So because every command has a GUID and an ID, right? That's how you identify a command. It's a pair of, it's a GUID and integer pair. And so we need an integer which is under not package GUIDs, but package IDs. And this one was called Open TimeLog ID. Actually, I don't like that name. Let's give it another name. Let's call it Open TimeLog. And let's just call that. Now this is going to complain. There we go. Hey, James, can you roll the banner that people need to install then an extension called Extensibility Essentials, please? That gives you some of these features that we're using here, like the way that I get IntelliSense in C# for what's in my XML file, which is not something you normally get, of course. Okay, so we are doing.
Someone was asking, Steffi was asking, is that where you get the known monikers Explorer, or is that something else?
Yes, known monikers Explorer is part of the extension called Extensibility Essentials. Extensibility Essentials is a extension pack in its own right. It doesn't do anything. It just makes sure that it installs like about 10 extensions or something like that are like absolutely valuable to extenders when they write extensions.
Got it.
Yep.
Cool. Just put a link in all the chats.
Nice. Thank you. Okay. So we're calling execute. This has to be static. Like this. Okay. So now it wants a package class. Well, we can take a package. Async package. So then, because we have a package coming in up here, so we can just pass that along. There we go. Did you see this, James? Isn't that just nice? I get like a little smile on my face every time. Oops. Take this out. So I have an async package coming in up here. And I'm now going to I'm not going to add a parameter here that's also an async package. So as I start typing, notice how I get IntelliCode, that star. Visual Studio know that I probably need to put that particular variable into that parameter in that method. How cool is that?
Love it. Always love that. It's like it writes itself.
Absolutely. Oh, let's hope we finish before the doorbell today. Yes, I hope so too. Okay. So what we're going to do is that we are, let's just clean this up there. So title, instead of open TimeLog, let's do name of TimeLog. Then we can mix that. And the message, let's just kill that and do something else. What should we do? Okay, let's write something. We need to write, so let's do this. String time equals some time, right? Something. And then let's write that out. This solution was open for, this solution has been open for time. Okay. So all I'm going to do here is that when you click the button, the command, I want to just give you a message box saying how long you've been using this extension or this solution. So how do we get a hold of that from in here? Well, where do we have an instance of our TimeLog, which is kind of what we need? We need to read from the TimeLog. So we have that here in our package class. Okay, we have a TimeLog here that we initiate or instantiate somewhere further down. So this is where we have our instance. Now, the package class has a dependency, right, on our command class, the thing that we're just working on right here. So if I want to access from my command class, if I want to access a variable from from the package class. Now I have to take a dependency back. Okay. So I could pass it along. I could do various or I could simply just make this, internal. That would make it work, right? Because from in here, I do have, if I made this a specific package, solution TimeLog package, because if I did this, I could say package dot log, right? And now I would have so that's one way I could do it. But then, and I see this happen all the time. People do this all the time. There's nothing specifically wrong with it, but there's a code smell, because now you have dependency going both ways, right? The command depends on the package class, and the package class depends on the command class. That's just not pretty. It smells bad. It doesn't stink, but it's not pleasant odor, So I think either we should pass it along. So we could either pass it along in here, basically saying, okay, give me a time log. That's one way we could do it. But I think because this is an educational program we're doing here, I think we should do something a little bit cooler than that. And by the way, there is an issue with passing it along, because notice here, if I were to pass a log along here, a log is null at this point. Okay, this log is not initiated before we get into this method, which runs down here. So okay, so I can't do that. I have to now timing's become an issue and all this stuff. So let's figure out something else. But before we do anything, let's just see if we can make it work, shall we? So let's do it in the way that I think is not the pretty way, but it works. So time equals package.log dot read. Oh, our read is not public. Update async. Save async. Read async. Yep. So read async. There we go.
Equinox wants to know if there's a reason that you're not instantiating the log earlier.
This is just where we were when we left off. So yeah, this could probably be refactored. But it, the way we're going to end up doing this, I think is going to be a much cooler thing. Okay, so I want to read this async. So here's a common pattern. So when you have a command handler, like I do here, so command handlers in Visual Studio are synchronous. They're not async. Okay, that means they run on the UI thread. And of course, I could use the joinable task factory or some other mechanism to move my execution down to a background task, and then I can be awaitable, which means I can then do I can then await this, right? Which is what I need to do here. But oftentimes what I want to do instead is that's exactly what I want to do here. Because I need to read it every time that I need to read basically every time that this executes. So there's something we can do. What do people think about this? Do I hear anyone screaming that I did this? Async void. How crazy is that?
It's fine. So is it an event? It's fine. Can you make it a task? No.
Yeah. No. Why is this complaining? Oh. So that's one way we can do it. Okay. Now the problem with this, of course, is that if I have an exception in here, this all explodes. And so I could do something like this. Oh dear. Oh dear. Does this work? Actually, I can make this a task. Now that I think of it. Why does this not work? Oh yeah, because it says, hey, don't use Lambda for return. So let's not do that part.
But you can do it if you only had an async menu command.
Can I do file and forget?
Jan says async void is only okay for event handlers.
Yeah, that's true. So I think we should just go with that. Execute async. That's exactly what this is. This is an event handler. Okay, so we're going to read this. What is that going to give us? That's going to give us a time span. So we can say time. How do you want this? Should we do minutes? Let's do minutes, right? I mean,
total minutes. Is there more minutes?
Total minutes. Total minutes.
I don't know. I feel like you need to do some formatting. Oh,
I know, right?
Isn't there a time span .2 short something? No, too short. No.
No. Oh. That's on the date class. Okay.
That's sad.
Let's just go with this for now. Let's actually see if this works. Okay. What is this complaining? Avoid async void. This is true. Change return type to task. So we just have to basically try catch the hell out of this. But we could also make it a task. If we make it a task, then what happens? And this one complains. So we just configure await false. Now everything is going to explode. Oh, my ID. I didn't fix it out. Let me try again.
You still have your YouTube open over there?
No, I do not.
Oh, I was going to give you. How do I send you a link through this thing?
Oh, I can open it. I mean,
yeah. See if that works.
You got a link?
Oh, in the private chat, I think you can now click a link. They fixed it. That's nice. That's how I did it one time. Up on line 90, I think.
Line 90?
Right there. Oh, it's highlighted. I think this I did in one of my apps.
Yeah, so I can grab this. I've written this very method like a couple of times before in the last 20 years. I think a lot of people have. Yeah, so we would need something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's open a solution. So it might completely explode now because are we going to read and write at the same time? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. So, yeah, so now it's ticking along. Tools, see TimeLog. Oh, where's our icon? Oh, we're going to fix that in a second. 1.3 minutes. Woo-hoo-hoo. Wow. What do you say? This UI, this is awesome.
I love it. I'm in. Sold. Ship it.
Okay, we have a rounding issue here. That was weird. Did you see that? That was totally like a .NET rounding issue. So 100, how? Oh, no. It makes sense. Yeah. No, it makes sense. So yeah, formatting is definitely needed. But so far so good. But let's do the most complicated things we can possibly do to make this even better. We're going to keep the UI for now because I feel like the UI is pretty awesome as it is. Who doesn't like a message box, right? So we're going to take a look at removing this dependency of where do we go? The command of basically taking a dependency on the package. So we go back to async package. If I can spell. There we go. Okay. So that means that I can't access log that way. So, the reasonable person here would then figure out how to just pass log in right here. Okay. That would be the reasonable thing to do. But that's not as cool as what we're about to do. No. Instead, we're going to create a service and expose it. And we can take that service and say, hey, this should be available to other extensions as well. In this particular case, I think we should just go with saying that, hey, this is just for use internally. But so we're gonna take our TimeLog type, our class here, and convert that into a service. And you might be wondering, oh dear, so now I have to implement an interface or base class that's some old COM derivative from like the last century. And once I've done that, then I can register it in all sorts of different ways. That's very verbose and hard to do. That's what I thought, but that's totally not the case. So I want to show you how to do this. It turns out that we don't have to change our TimeLog class at all. So any class that you've got, any class, can be a service, just as it is. So you can even, is that true? Can you do that? You can even expose classes as services that do not belong to you. So let's say that you implement a NuGet package. Oh, sorry, you have referenced a NuGet package that has some types in it. You can register those types as services as long as that NuGet package exists and it can be resolved through your extension. So all we have to do is basically go in here and say provide service and give it a type of TimeLog. That is technically all we need. We're going to give it a couple more parameters. We're going to say, is this async queryable? Yes, it is. And then I could say promote. Where's the promote? Oh, that's not here. There's a few other. Let's see what else we got here. Is free threaded? So if this thing can be used on any thread, background thread, foreground thread, then I should say true to this if it's free threaded. And that's kind of important that we make sure that we do these things because free threaded, there's a few services in Visual Studio that are free threaded, which means that Visual Studio does not automatically have to marshal between threads when you have a caller from one thread calling into a service that can only be called in another thread. Normally Visual Studio will marshal that so that the call will like be able to span threads, but that can actually result in deadlocks and other really nasty things. So it's the best practice is if you can do free threaded stuff, right? We cannot, I believe, because we have a dependency on a IVS solution service from our service. We take a dependency on another service, and that is not a free threaded service. So I do believe that we have that limitation. Therefore, we can, when in doubt, don't set this. Only set it when you know. Let's see what else we got. Is it cacheable? You can set that to true. So we actually have XML documentation here. So is cacheable indicates to the shell service layer that it may cache the service. It's a more formality for MPF provided services because MP yada yada yada. So that might be an idea. All we need to do is this, and maybe I need to put a service name on there. I like to do that here. I don't know why I need a service name, to be honest. Let's just do TimeLog. Like this. Okay, so now what we're doing, what you may know is that if I build this, I'm going to open. Let's go and peek into what we're compiling here. Build failed. How is that even possible? Oh, because yes, there is that. So I'm just going to do this for now. Let's build this because there's one thing I want to show you, which is that, as you may know, any of these attributes we put on top of a package class, well, not all of them, but some of them end up in inside our v6 into our package def file. So this package def file is auto-generated. Okay, this is in our output directory. It's also inside our v6. So if you open the v6, we can see it in there. I'm just going to open it. So we can now see that we have registering a service right here. Okay.
Got some good questions for you, Mads, in this one. So is this kind of like a built-in dependency injection service? Kind of,
yeah. Except that it's not dependency injected. It's the whatever class that needs the service just requests it. It's not that it's being injected into the class, though you can do that if you want to. But that will be up to you to decide that. There's nothing dependency injection inherently about services.
Okay. So, okay, gotcha. And so Equinox says, can you explain how the service provider is different from doing reflection on a class then?
Well, the service it is doing reflection on the class. I think it's doing reflection to initiate. Hang on. Stop. No, it is not using reflection, and let's show why. So you could use reflection on anything like that, and that's actually one way you can get around doing when you have so. Oh man, this is getting hairy. I don't know if I can explain this. Let's see if we got time. I can explain it with some source code that we can look at on how to use services that are incompatible between different versions of Visual Studio, like version like 2015, 2017, 2019, all have a service, but they don't have binding redirects, and so we can use reflection to still call into them because the methods are the same names, and they might even take the same parameters and have the same return types. So so we should be able to do that, and we can with reflection. And I think I have an example of that. But yeah, you don't want to use reflection if you can use strongly typed stuff. And if you do it this way, then you also adhering to the asynchronicity of the service layer in Visual Studio, which is kind of nice. So you get stuff for free if you do it this way.
Gotcha. Also, then Chris asks, or kind of says, like, if you're using the UI Solution Explorer objects, does it have to be on the UI/non-free threaded?
Yes, that is exactly why I didn't add the is free threaded equals true up here, because we have a dependency on the IVS solution in our service, in our TimeLog service here. And this IVS solution is not free threaded. It's bound to the UI thread. That's exactly right. Okay, so what we're doing here, the first thing we did was we register our service. Now, all that does is that it writes this into this package dev file that just tells Visual Studio that, hey, there is a service over here, and it has a name, and you can query this using this method. But we haven't actually shown how to do that. So in order for us to do that, we are going to go in here, and we're going to say, where are we going to do it? So we need a, I'm just going to grab this. Oh, there we go. I need this. Need a solution, and then now I can instantiate a log, so I can say that should be. Oh, hang on, what am I doing? That's not what I want to do. I want to say add service type of TimeLog. So the difference now is, like, I'm not actually registering a service now. Now I'm writing the code that will actually create a new instance of that service. Instead of reflection, we're actually going to do this way. It takes a callback. So it takes a new async service creator callback. And let's give that a name. Let's say create service. And then we're going to, that takes the third parameter, which is called promote, true or false. Now, if I said true, so promote is true. Promote means this is now available outside of my own extension. So if you want to write an extension that other people can use from their extensions, you would say that this should be true. Promote is true. But we don't do that, so we can keep it a false, you know. Now we just have to create service callback. So what happens is, this is the thing that's asynchronously called when someone requests our service, okay? So let's do that in here. So let's create a private async service creator callback. Oh, and what does it take? It takes iasync service container. container. And it takes a cancellation token, and then it takes a type. What is that? Oh, it's literally just a type. Type. Okay. Create service. So first we're going to just ask if type equals type of TimeLog, then we're going to return a TimeLog. And why is this complaining? Because, oh, it's actually an object. Or is it actually one of these guys here? No, I think it's just an object. Oh, it's actually a task of object. So we need system threading. Oh, we already have that. So what did I do wrong? Oh, no, we're good. It's no longer complaining. Yeah. Okay, so now we just need to return something, right? So we need to return task from result object, and we're just going to return a new time log, and we're going to give it a solution. Okay, we don't have one, so we need to get one. And then there's something about service exception. There is not such a thing. So we're just going to call what? We're just going to throw, or we can just return null. Okay, so we need a solution. How do we get a solution? Well, let's grab one here. So let's create the solution here. We're just going to, this one we're actually going to just hang off of here. So we're going to create the solution service up here. And so now I can grab my solution down here. Sold service, boom. And this is complaining that it's not called async, and we can call you async. Okay. But now, yeah, here we go. Okay, so let's just go through what we just did here. So we're letting Visual Studio know by putting an attribute up here that we have a service of a certain type. And we're instructing them how to instantiate one because it has information about what package GUID it's contained within. And so it knows that it needs to instantiate it this way. And then it will go down to here where it says add service. And it will register with that same type. And then it will call our callback to create one of these services. So it calls in here, and we just make sure that we check that, hey, if you're asking for a time log, then here you go. And James, can't I just do this actually? Oh, yeah, I can. I think in C#9 I can do something.
Yeah, there's a new fancy C#9 like is null thingy checky thing that waiting for Visual Studio to right click fix all my code to C#9.
There is a thing. Oh, there's nothing there yet. Okay.
Oh, like what you could do is a no, I don't know.
Okay. So what I just did was that I registered a service, right? And I kept the entire class here the same. I'm not gonna, I could remove the underscore log up here because, well, you could use the service. It just seems kind of silly that in the same class I would do that. So I don't think I would do that. I would just keep it as it is. But when we come into our command, then I would want to do that. I want to say log equals await package get service async, and we're getting a time log like that. And does this then work? That is a good question. Let's give this a log. We're going to take a log. Okay. So what do you think, James? Will this work?
Every code that you write, Mads, works flawless.
Oh dear. I feel like what's that about? I feel like you're putting pressure on me now. So we're just going to run it. We're not even going to attach a debugger because why wouldn't it work? Right? There's no reason to debug this.
There's some good Chris is saying you could do service is TimeLog, and then it would cast it and set TimeLog to it.
Yes,
I think that's
but
C#8.
No, yeah, I could do that right now. The problem with doing that syntax is that TimeLog is not like it's a type. I'm not getting an instance of an object. I'm getting a type. So I'm just comparing two types, which is different. Let's see here. I want to see that up here tick so we know that it's running.
Yeah, it's actually kind of cool that it'll just update that and then you know that it's loaded because it's actually working.
Yep. Let's see. It could be because I have some things open here. No. Oh my, it's loading. Is it? I don't think it's loading any specific extensions yet. It's just pending. So something else is going on. What else do we have? Any other questions? I can't believe that this is taking so long. Can you use C#9 with .NET Framework code? Stephen asks. James, do you know?
Yeah, I just wrote a blog post. It would work the same. I'll put it in the chat. I wrote a blog post literally today because someone asked me that. Can I use it for Xamarin projects? The short answer is, of course, because everything is just a compiler, really, at the end of the day. But not all features, right? Some things are specific for the runtime. But let's say you want to use records or things that are compile based, then yes, like technically Framework will default to 7.3, but you can just set the Lang version to whatever you want. It'll work. It's compiled code, right? So if it compiles, it runs. And like some of the features they did, like value tasks or whatever, they have a NuGet package that you can just grab.
Okay.
I mean, it's not officially supported. You know, if I do this, Mads, so if I do it's not officially supported, but you can do it, official support. So like if you were to come to the .NET team or C# team and be like, hey, this doesn't work. They're like, well, you know, technically it doesn't work.
So, yeah, because it's a compiler, so it doesn't require a new runtime because the IL that the compiler spits out is the same.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can still target .NET Framework 4.8. Yes. Okay, so it's one of those days where Visual Studio is like, I'm not going to deploy to the experimental instance this time. Why don't you go ahead and restart Visual Studio? Okay, I'll do that. So something got tied up somewhere.
It's a great question from Danny. Danny says, wow, Mads, you make the best extensions in the entire world. Is there going to be the availability to use some of that stuff with GitHub code spaces?
Yeah. That is a, oh man, it's still doing this. It's used by another process. Okay, hang on. I will debug my machine here while I answer that question. So GitHub code spaces We did have a conversation about it like several weeks ago in the episode here after Leslie from the extensibility team wrote a blog post on the future of the of the Visual Studio extensions and how they work with code spaces. And it's a very complicated answer. But let me do my best to do it as shortly and briefly as I can. When you split Visual Studio into a server and a client, where the server being GitHub Codespaces, the client being sort of almost like a thin shell that is Visual Studio as we know it, then all the services that run on the server, such as build, compile, unit testing, the project system, the file system, pretty much a lot of what's in Visual Studio that we use as extenders, we can no longer get to them from the client. So if we have an extension running on the client machine, well, they can't access the file system because it's no longer system.io.file. Read or whatever. Because there is no file there. The file exists only in the cloud. So I'll do a clean here. So what they're doing is that they're basically coming up with a brand new API that is completely greenfield, which is a very, very exciting thing. We're going to have the opportunity to create a new API that's going to be very .NET-y. That's not going to have this COM legacy to it. That's not going to be confusing. That's just going to have one way of doing things. It's all going to be async by default, not by default, by convention. You cannot not have async because we're going over to the cloud, right? And that API will work locally as well. So even though you're not using code spaces, you can use that there. So all extensions that I've got that uses any service that now only exists on the code space, they will not work as they are today. I will have to rewrite them using that new API that doesn't exist yet. But if it's not using any of those things, for instance, I used an extension here that just pastes in a GUID. It just Control K space. It just pastes in a new GUID. That doesn't use any API. It just uses the editor APIs that's right here. And so there's no use for APIs that are on the server. And so that extension will work. I just have to make a little, put an attribute or something like that in my v6 manifest file. And then that's it. That just tells Visual Studio that, hey, when you're connected to a code space, it's okay to load me. Just load this extension because by default, Visual Studio will not load any extension when it's connected to a code space. So, okay.
Nice. I put a link to the Leslie's article that she wrote last month. So
wonderful.
Did you figure out what's going on?
No, but restarting Visual Studio. So there was a process hanging. So something was going on. I don't know what it was.
I'm going to answer this question because Hepe asks, .NET Core, .NET Framework, what's the biggest difference? Well, .NET Core is now it's .NET 5, right? So that's the new stuff that just launched last week. But .NET Core was a cross-platform implementation of .NET, performance, stability, cross-platform Linux, Mac, Windows. .NET 5 is the future of that. So if you're going to start something brand new, you can do .NET 5. So the hotness. Yep.
And Danny asks at the bottom there, what is the attribute?
What is which attribute?
It's called provide service.
Provide service.
If we're talking about the one I was showing. Here's the attribute, provide service. All right, so this time it seems like it's actually loading 1 out of 14.
Oh, I found documentation. Oh my goodness.
And Chris is also asking, I assume v6 extensions are still .NET Framework, COM legacy, and haven't yet migrated to be able to use .NET 5 or .NET Core, right? Right. That's correct. The latest Visual Studio runs on .NET Framework. I always forget if it's 4.7.2 or 4.8. I think it's 4.7.2. That Visual Studio itself is compiled against. That means the entire API of Visual Studio is compiled against that. Or Net Standard, right? Because 4.7.2 is Net Standard 2.0. Is that right?
Yeah. Sounds right.
Yeah. Oh, our extension is loading. Look, yes. All right, so I don't know if it's done loading. Not quite.
I think you broke it.
Am I doing something wrong? Like, is it like just stuck here? It appears that it is. Oh, that's interesting. Let's try that again then. What is there's like some sort of circular reference or something. Is that right? I get a solution and then I create my service that uses a solution service. That sounds right. And then I see a solution is loaded. I also get a solution in here, I guess, which I don't have to. Interesting. And the .NET framework of Visual Studio will be updated as as time goes on. We did. I forgot it was last year that we did a big update to .NET framework in Visual Studio. So recompile against the new version. It's a big deal every time, so we don't just do it because a new minor version of the .NET framework comes out. Oh, it's just the switch to the main thread that takes a little while, and that's because we're in debug mode. Is it here? It's not even down here yet. Or maybe it is actually. What am I doing in here? Oh, it could. Oh, no. See? I'm requesting that service that we haven't initiated it. Oh, how silly is that? Okay, everybody. This is the moment you've all been waiting for. It's kind of cool that you can do a service like this, I feel like. Because to me, I always thought it was a very advanced concept. Until I learned that, oh, it's just a class that I kind of register in a very simple way. Good to know. In the past, what I've done is I have some extensions that are able to let other people talk to them. But the way I've done it is that I've just had a command that I called from other extensions. So I have an image optimizer extension. And it has a command that takes parameters. And so other extensions can just invoke that command and send it a parameter. So see, now it's running. See that? It's all working. So now we can see TimeLog. And boom. Let's do it again. Boom. 2.3 minutes.
Control Shift T. Control Alt Control Shift Tab T. I don't know.
That didn't. What did that do?
No, I don't know. I'm just saying that's what the shortcut could be.
Oh. Control Shift Tab is taken. That's the thing.
Yeah. Control Alt Shift T2. I don't know what it would be.
Hey, you want to hear a keyboard shortcut that you probably didn't even know existed in Visual Studio?
I'm right. I'm going to open Visual Studio right now.
So I'm gonna. Which one are we on? We have one here that's. Let's see here. Solution TimeLog. See, this one is using 1 meg of memory. I've had this Visual Studio open for a long time. So let's keep this on top. Okay. So let me show you something funny. I don't know if it's funny. I think it's kind of funny. So there's a keyboard shortcut in Visual Studio that allows you to force the Visual Studio's it forces a garbage collection of Visual Studio itself. So basically, it's a command that Visual Studio just call like gc collect. And it's not an extension, it's built in. You ready?
I'm ready.
Shift, Control, and then hang on. Notice here, pay attention to how much memory I'm using here. 1 meg, right? Or 1 gig, sorry. So Shift, Control, Alt, F12 twice. There. Oh, that wasn't much. It just went down by 2 megabytes. Well, let's try it on the other instance here. Shift, Control, Alt, F12 twice. Try it at home. Try it. I mean, I think it's a legacy thing. I don't know how much it actually works anymore, if ever.
Control, Shift. F12, F12? No.
Let's see here. It's called force GC. Force GC. Okay. And it's Control Shift Alt F12 followed by Control Shift Alt F12. Yep. Pro tip / random piece of information.
It's also fun that you can explore all those things via that. So.
So what's cool about the service that we just created was that it allows us to for any parts of our extension that needs access to the service to request it asynchronously, which is just a thing of beauty. So we get that for free, right? No reflection needed, none of that stuff. It's just clean, good and clean family entertainment you can trust.
Chris mentions that your CPU ramped up when you forced the GC, which is a nice side effect too.
Yeah, that's a wonderful side effect. So, okay, so here's how we would probably want to refactor this. I'm setting a timer in here. I'm doing all sort of event hookup in here. I shouldn't do that in here. I should refactor that out in a different class somewhere. And then from that class, I may want to then say get service. So should we do that? I don't know. We're kind of out of time. We spent an hour. I can't believe how fast time flies when I'm doing this stuff.
When you're having fun, Mads. When you're having fun.
Yeah. Let me just commit this.
I need a keyboard shortcut though. I need a keyboard shortcut.
Yeah.
And the icon's not mixed.
And the icon.
Come on, give me an icon.
So I see immediately why we don't have an icon. It's because, okay, I did register the icon here. Okay. And that icon does exist. We did check that out here. And it's right there. Timer. Exactly the same. And I did import or include my the known monikers here. So can anyone see why that image did not show up? Why did the icon not show up? Let's see in the comments. James, do you have an idea? Do you remember? Or have you never really paid attention when I play with XML?
I really don't pay attention to any of the stream. Let's just be honest about that. I just,
okay.
I'm
fair.
just kind of chilling.
Right. So it's because we need to set a command flag that says icon is moniker. That's basically all we need to do.
That's saying that it's a built-in one.
That's built in. It doesn't matter. If we want to use an image moniker, so the known moniker collection, which is in the built-in image catalog, known monikers, they're what's called image monikers. The 4,000 icons that exist in Visual Studio, like we have in the full list here. But if you are doing your own image monikers, like you use an image manifest file like we did like a couple of episodes ago, you still have to say icon is moniker, because it needs to know whether it needs to resolve a PNG file or BMP or whatever, JPEG or something on disk, or it has to look in a catalog. They're two fundamentally different sources, right? So that's what they came up with. I don't like the whole C TimeLog title here.
Just TimeLog.
Just TimeLog?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Okay, so we need to give it a local canonical name. TimeLog. That's it. And you said you want a keyboard shortcut?
Always.
So this one is TimeLog command set, and the ID is open TimeLog. Editor is global. That means global, because that global would be too easy. So you have to guess that that's what it means.
I think I got it. Control TL TimeLog. Control Shift TL.
Control Shift TL.
I don't know. Can you do you can do two letters? Yeah.
Control Shift TL is available, but that's like you can't do that one-handed.
Oh. Well,
or you have to like move. You have to move your.
Oh, that's fine. You do good Control Shift KD, Control KD.
What is control? Show layout. Oh, there is the Control Shift I.
You can access Control Alt Shift F11 twice.
Control Alt Shift F11. Control Shift F11. What about Control Shift F11? Let's do that one. So that means our key is F11, but that's not how we write it. Sorry, now there's someone leaf blowing outside my garage door.
Perfect. Ideal.
Yeah.
It's always at the perfect time.
Okay, so we want Control Shift. Okay. So now, James, we should have both an icon and a keyboard shortcut, and we should have a well-named service. Command as well. Oh, Control Shift 11. See, that shows right here.
Ooh.
And we got the icon. Boom. Control Shift 11. So right now it's probably going to crash Visual Studio, right? If I hit that now, because yeah, let's just see. If I don't load a solution, what will happen? It's gonna no. I don't feel like doing it.
Didn't it only load? I thought it only loaded your extension once a solution opened. No?
Yeah, but any command that you execute will also load that extension.
Oh.
All right, so the extension that it belongs to. So but let's just see here. We had TimeLog. Yeah. Okay, let's just try Control Shift F11. 0. Nice. It didn't crash. It should probably say you don't have a solution open. No, actually, you know what it should? It should do it so that the command should not be available at all if there is no solution open. Do we have time for that?
Sure.
What are we? I need 10 minutes. Can we do that?
Yeah, do it. I also want you to prettify the output, but that's just me.
So we need to choose solution is. So for that, we need what's called visibility constraint. And we need TimeLog command. We need open TimeLog. And we need solution. Solution building. Solution exists. Solution exists and fully loaded. I don't know if any of these work. Let's try. Solution exists and not building and not deep. We may have to do has multiple project or has single project. Let's do that one. Let's just start with one. So that means that we are going to let that control it. So we need to set a command flag that says dynamic visibility. So it will only be visible when it's running. And then we need on the command, when we register the command, we need to say, hey, isn't this overloaded? No, sorry. Not this one. This line here. Takes a menu command ID, and then we can give it a. Now, wait a minute. Or add, is it in here? Oh, is it OLA menu command? It's OLA menu command.
What's an
query
OLA?
status supported? False. So by setting this to false, so we had to, like, instead of having this a menu command, it has to be an OLA menu command that gives us an overload that can take a Boolean, and we are going to say, we do not want to handle visibility ourselves. You cannot query this for visibility information. Instead, just use the information that is registered from the command table right here. So now, eventually, we should not see a button until we load a solution. And then we should check that if we then close the solution, that the button goes away again. It's no longer here. Okay, so far so good. Let's open a solution. Oh dear. Okay. Boom, it's there. And see, my extension is not even loaded yet. Now it's loaded. So the cool thing is that means that it will the visibility, we don't have to load the extension for Visual Studio to show the visibility correctly. So now if I close this, it goes away. But, sometimes the solution exists if a file is open. So let's open just a single file. And now it's back. Yeah. So that is why, everybody, that I prefer to do, instead of solution exists, I want to do solution has multiple projects, or it has a single project. That's kind of silly, right? So now I'm going to say have both of these. But that's true though, right? If it has, that means at least one project has to be in the solution. And a single file, like I just opened before, does not register itself as a project with Visual Studio. So this theoretically should work. So far, so good. Let's load a single file. We still shouldn't see it at this point. No, and we don't, right? It's not here. So now when we load let's see, okay, here we go. Now it's there, and it's working. If I close the solution, it's gone again. Boom.
Jan asks, how would you move that instead of under tools, under view? Because you're viewing the time log.
Oh, that is so true. So is there something here called view? There is.
Oh,
There's always a gamble.
enough. That's easy enough.
Well, but let's take a look. If we want to put it under the view menu, where should we put it? So Jan, he puts his right here. He puts his whole flyout menu here. So where should we put ours?
There's so much in that.
Maybe we just leave it as it is, and we see where it ends up, and then maybe that's the right place.
Visual Studio knows, right?
Yeah.
While it's loading, Danny wants to know, what attribute would you use to allow an extension to install in code spaces?
I don't know if that is final yet. So, but once it is, we're definitely going to do that. We're going to have a whole episode on how to do this.
Whoa, I like that.
And I'm actually talking to the extensibility team. We're trying to have a day where on the Visual Studio office hours webcast to basically have them in, and that's basically going to be sort of a Q&A type of thing from an extension builder's point of view. So, but we don't have a date for that yet. I think they know what all your questions are, and they want to make sure that they have the answers. So it's not going to be next week. It's likely going to, it's actually going to be in the new year, because we're going to take a break.
Yeah, what if we had an extension builders day, like a 4-hour mini conference?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, where'd it go?
It's gone.
Isn't it? It's not here, is it?
Is it loaded? Oh, no, you didn't open a solution.
Oh, yeah.
Your code is working.
Yeah. Jan says he can move the extensibility tool somewhere else. I think it's fine. You should ask. It's at the very top. Should we just take the very top and say, that's now ours? Oh yeah. So Jan, you just kept the 600 on your extension too. I take it, because I'm taking the same space here. Let's just do that. I mean, people can do whatever they want, right? So they can change it.
Can you change it?
Yeah, I mean, you can just send a pull request or fork it.
Oh, but I can't change it. Like if I install your extension, I don't have control over moving it. Kind of like the toolbar, you can customize that little thing where it says like current instance, the debug.
Well, no, hang on a minute. You can change it. So you can go in here, say customize. Okay. So commands. So we can say menu bar, standard, what do we call it, view. Where are we? Is it toolbars? Oh, hang on, menu. Why did it say menu bar? Oh, here we go. So we have, there's Jan's. Maybe you can't. Oh, here, Menu bar. All right. So it should be possible that you can say view. Okay. And then you can say, okay, I want view code and view designer to change location. Okay. Or you can add an existing command from you can like move them around. You can delete things. You can clean them up. You can do that all from in here. It's unfortunately it doesn't roam. So if you do this and then you set up a new machine later, you'll have to do it again. So that's why most people don't do it, but you can.
Got it.
Yep. So, but speaking of code spaces, so we have on so not this Monday, but the next Monday, which would be November 30th, I believe. We have in the Visual Studio office hours, we have Andrew Arnott coming in talking about the architecture changes that the Visual Studio had to undergo to allow for detaching sort of the logic, the processing to the cloud, right? Or to a separate process. And so we're going to touch about, there's going to be a lot of stuff for extension authors there that would be very interesting, because I'm sure we're going to talk about services and all this sort of stuff, because they're such a key integral part of what Visual Studio is. And so we're gonna geek out on that. That's going to be very, very technical. So Andrew already told us in June, he was on that show telling us about how Visual Studio is architected and how it works internally, which was an absolutely fascinating show. And he's coming back and doing the code spaces special. But really, it's not about code spaces. It's about the architectural changes Visual Studio has undergone in the past couple of years. And I think you don't want to miss that. So that's following Monday. Okay, so let's just commit this to the GitHubs. And what did we do today? We implemented UI, I guess. Boom. Okay, everybody, it's on the GitHubs in a second or two. What do you think? Let me get the live stream studio up here so I can see what's going on. Any last questions? Are we doing well?
I think we're doing good. I think we're doing good. There's a lot of questions in there. Someone said add a reset button. Equinox said, which is kind of a cool idea. So I like that. Jan mentions, if you have two extensions of the same value, the first one installed will appear first. That's nice.
Is that a statement? Because I don't know. So if that's true, then thank you for telling me. I didn't know.
I believe so. There's a nice statement up here. Let me see if I can find it. There's a lot of comments today.
Yeah.
Equinox said, James, that's me. Good a comment from me. I just want to say the stream has become invaluable. You're welcome. I did all the hard work over here. No. It says, thank you. It's been fun to watch us together, ask questions, and learning a lot during the session. So glad that we could do that. We were just talking about that before the stream, right? We were talking about how we just enjoy doing this, and we have banter that we don't know if is enjoyable at all, but we think maybe it is.
It's enjoyable to us, at least. Yeah. If you like the who asked that question, Equinox. If you like sort of this live coding and follow along, make sure to check out C# Fritz. James, what time of week is he on? Monday morning?
Fritz is Monday morning, 6 a.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. Eastern, live.net on Twitch.
So that means there's a 6 a.m. That is what, 3 p.m. European main time?
Yes. Ooh, I got to show you something. I got to show everyone something. I'm going to share my screen. Are you ready for this?
Oh, that's a first.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
So I'm going to go to a website, live.net. I'm going to share my screen. Let's see if this works. Oh my gosh, there it is. Okay. This is the website. This is live. This is happening right now. See, it's blinking. It's blinking red. Now check this out. Check. See Mads right here. Check this out. Click. Whoa, you have your own page.
No way. When did this go live?
Yesterday. Dan from the engineering team, Dan Zhu, did this. You can go to any of these. Boom, 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 boom. You get look at that. There's the C# with C# Fritz. They're all there. You can now click on it. get all the shows instead of going to a YouTube playlist. You get some information about all of it. Look at that. Then if we're live, we're on here too.
How many live coding shows do we have? If
Let's see. Fritz basically codes live on Mondays. You code live on Fridays. On Tuesday, InstaFluff, who's a community streamer, also here. You can see that we have these new badges. So you can see, is it a Microsoft like PM team or featured community streamer? InstaFluff's cool. He is doing a mod for a game called Stardew Valley. So he uses Visual Studio and C# to modify that game. And then a lot of the other shows like on Dotnet, the Docs show, the Community Stamps, there's usually code. On Dotnet, there's usually code being shown, not so much like your show. But and then obviously this one right here, the Visual Studio Office Hours. The new one will be scheduled. I don't have the artwork yet, but we're working on it.
That's right.
You can go here. Anyway, I thought this was cool. This is awesome because that's new. Those are feature requests from our community. They put in this feedback form. You can click on this and tell us what you want, and we'll do it.
Oh, I thought that's cool that the community asked for it. I thought it was something that the hosts of each show would want their own, but it's not. That's cool.
Yeah, feedback from the community. Boom.
Yeah. Do we have, so people can write feedback in there for this show too, right?
Yes. Yeah. You can actually now go, funnily enough, you can now go to that show. You could go to this link. I'll put in the link here. And then it's more like feedback for the website in general. But there is this suggest a future topic, which would be aka.ms/extension/suggestion. When you go to that, it's a form and there is a feedback column. You can say, I just want to have feedback. And then Mads will read those. He'll ignore it, but it's there. You know how people can give feedback on Visual Studio, the product?
I do.
How do they do that?
Go to developer community. Well, inside Visual Studio, go to help, send feedback.
Done. Boom. It's amazing. Best feature.
Yeah. That is good feature. Hey, did you know I'm the PM for that? That's my feature.
I know.
You did? Oh, okay.
I knew.
All right.
Of course I know.
Among other things. So, okay. If that's all the questions.
Feedback.
I know, right? I don't know what's wrong with people. I need like a big like on air flashing billboard outside my garage so the neighbors can see it or something.
I like it. Oh my goodness. So next week, no show, right? No show next week.
No show next week. I'll be in a cabin in the mountains. Maybe roasting some marshmallows on the fire if it's not raining, which it probably is. So,
ooh, I like it. I like it. All right. Well, I will be inside on lockdown. No cabin for me. Maybe.
Yeah. Well, I hope that you're going to have a great Thanksgiving, and I hope everyone out there is going to have a great Thanksgiving, if that's something they do. And if not, have a great week. Don't miss us too much, because it's just one more week, and then we'll be back with 2 shows. Right? I guess I have 2 shows, James. You have many shows, but I have just my office hours Monday with Andrew Arnott. Andrew Arnott.
There you go.
Yes.
Nailed it.
The way he says it's Arnott, darn it. That's how I remember it. So Andrew Arnott coming Monday the 30th. You don't want to miss that. That's good stuff for extenders. That expands our understanding of how Visual Studio works and what to expect in the future. And then we have sort of the holiday special extension show, which I would love some ideas. If anyone has some ideas that they think could be fun for like a holiday extension, let's hear it. It would be awesome to do something. Cool. Thank you so much, everybody. See you in 2 weeks.